Alex wiped the sweat from his forehead as he tightened the bolts on the colony's water filtration system. The remote colony, tucked away on a distant planet, was harsh but peaceful. Life here was simple, and Alex liked it that way. He was an engineer, practical and quiet, content with fixing things and keeping to himself. The sun began to set, casting a soft golden glow across the barren landscape. Alex packed up his tools and headed towards his small home at the edge of the settlement. As he walked, something bright streaked across the sky. He paused, shielding his eyes from the glare, and watched in amazement as it crashed far beyond the settlement, leaving behind a trail of smoke. Curious and worried that someone might need help, Alex quickly decided to investigate. He hopped onto his small rover and drove toward the crash site, kicking up dust in his wake. After nearly half an hour, he finally reached the place where the object had landed. In a crater lay a strange ship, gleaming softly in the fading daylight. It wasn't like any human ship Alex had ever seen. Nervous yet fascinated, he climbed carefully down into the crater, approaching slowly. The hull was smooth, and a faint hum came from inside. Just as Alex reached out to touch it, a hatch hissed open, and he jumped back, startled. A figure emerged slowly from the doorway. Stepping uncertainly onto the dusty ground, Alex froze, heart pounding. The figure was clearly alien, yet strikingly similar to humans in shape. Her skin was a pale, gentle shade of blue, and her eyes, large and dark, glistened as they took in her surroundings. Her long, silvery hair caught the last rays of the setting sun. She looked around, confused and wary, until her gaze settled on Alex. Her eyes widened, and she stiffened visibly. "Why are you looking at me like that, human?" she asked sharply. Her voice surprisingly gentle, despite her cautious expression. Alex swallowed nervously, lifting his hands to show he meant no harm. "I'm sorry," he said softly, trying to keep his voice steady. "I didn't expect to see anyone like you here. Are you hurt? Do you need help?" The alien woman hesitated, her large eyes searching his face for signs of deception. After a long pause, she seemed to relax slightly. "My ship is damaged," she admitted quietly, glancing behind her at the craft. "I need to repair it." "I can help," Alex offered immediately, the words tumbling out before he could stop them. He saw surprise flicker briefly across her face, followed by suspicion. He quickly added, "I'm an engineer. I fix things. I can try to help you repair your ship." The alien woman looked at him thoughtfully, clearly unsure whether to trust him. She glanced at her damaged ship again, worry evident in her expression. Finally, she gave a slow nod. "Very well, human," she agreed softly. "You may help." Alex cautiously stepped closer, noting the intricate details on her suit and ship. Together, they inspected the damage. Alex could see she was anxious, but remained calm, offering her quiet explanations of each part as they worked. Gradually, he learned her name was Lyra, and she was from a far-off world her people rarely left. "Why did you come here, Lyra?" Alex asked curiously as he replaced a small power unit. She watched his hands carefully, clearly still cautious of him, but answering his question nonetheless. "My people have heard stories," Lyra explained quietly, her eyes flicking occasionally to Alex's face. "Stories of your kind." "Stories that frightened us. Stories of violence and conquest. I came to see if these tales were true." Alex paused, a mix of emotions crossing his face. He understood her fears. Humans had a complicated history, one that wasn't always peaceful. But here, on this distant planet, things were different. "Not all humans are like that," Alex said gently, hoping she would believe him. "Many of us just want to live quietly, peacefully, like here in our small colony." Lyra listened intently, her gaze softening slightly as she took in his words. She seemed to consider this carefully, finally nodding slowly. "Perhaps there is truth in your words, Alex," she murmured. Thoughtfully, "Perhaps I should reconsider my people's view." As darkness fell, they continued their work, the only sounds coming from their tools and occasional gentle exchanges of information. Lyra gradually relaxed, asking Alex about his life and work. In turn, he carefully asked about her world, fascinated by her cautious yet sincere answers. Eventually, the moon rose, casting a soft glow across their worksite. Alex yawned, rubbing his tired eyes. "We should rest," he suggested, looking around for a comfortable spot. "It's late. We can continue tomorrow." Lyra hesitated, still wary, but finally nodded. They settled a short distance apart, each silently, contemplating the day's unexpected events. Alex stared up at the unfamiliar stars, feeling strangely hopeful. He hadn't felt this intrigued or curious in a long time. "Alex," Lyra suddenly spoke quietly, breaking the silence. He turned toward her, noticing how the moonlight made her skin shimmer softly. "Thank you," she said softly, "for helping me, for being kind." "Of course," Alex answered sincerely, his voice gentle. "Everyone deserves kindness, no matter where they come from." Lyra's eyes softened further, clearly touched by his words. "Perhaps you humans are not entirely as my people feared," she murmured. Thoughtfully, her voice barely audible. They lay quietly after that, the silence comforting rather than tense. Alex felt a strange warmth in his chest, sensing something significant had shifted between them. He didn't fully understand it yet, but welcomed the feeling got as he drifted toward sleep. He stole a quick glance at Lyra. She was still awake, watching him carefully. When their eyes met briefly, he felt an unspoken understanding pass between them. Lyra quickly looked away, but Alex smiled slightly. He knew tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight he felt at peace. Something important had begun, something that might change everything he knew about himself and the universe around him. With that comforting thought, Alex closed his eyes, sleep finally overtaking him. Lyra, still awake beside him, continued to watch him curiously, a gentle expression of wonder and intrigue lighting her eyes. The morning sun rose slowly over the distant hills, bathing everything in a gentle golden glow. Alex opened his eyes and stretched, sitting up slowly. Nearby, Lyra was already awake, carefully checking the damage on her ship in the daylight. Her pale blue skin shone softly under the sun's warmth, and she moved with a graceful precision that fascinated Alex. "Good morning," Alex greeted softly, standing up and brushing dust from his clothes. Lyra looked up quickly, a cautious smile touching her lips briefly. "Good morning, Alex," she replied quietly, her dark eyes observing him closely. "We must continue repairs. Time is important." Alex nodded in agreement, quickly grabbing his tools. They began working again, moving together around the ship, each part becoming familiar. Lyra was reserved but focused, and Alex respected her careful nature, sensing that trust would take time. "Do you think your ship can fly soon?" Alex asked after several hours of careful repair work. Lyra hesitated, carefully inspecting a control panel. "Perhaps soon," she said softly. "But certain critical systems are still damaged. I require more supplies." Alex frowned slightly, knowing it wouldn't be easy to find spare parts in the remote colony. Yet he was determined to help. "I can look in our supply depot," he suggested. Gently, "I might find what we need." Lyra studied him carefully, a mix of caution and hope flickering in her eyes. Finally, she nodded slowly, clearly appreciating his willingness to assist. Returning to the colony was risky. Alex knew the leaders would have many questions if they found out about Lyra, but he couldn't ignore his strong desire to help her. Taking a deep breath, he started the rover and drove back to the settlement. Hoping no one would notice him dot at the depot, Alex moved quietly, gathering parts carefully, his heart pounding each time he heard footsteps nearby. He knew if anyone asked questions, it would be hard to explain without revealing Lyra's presence. Luckily, he managed to gather everything he needed without interruption. Quickly returning to Lyra's hidden location, she waited anxiously near the ship, clearly relieved when she saw him return safely. "You were successful?" she asked, her voice quiet but hopeful. "Yes," Alex replied, smiling slightly. "I have what we need." Together, they resumed repairs. As the day progressed, they talked softly about their worlds. Lyra explained more about her people, describing their culture, focused on harmony and caution. Alex listened carefully, fascinated by her gentle way of speaking and her thoughtful perspective. "Your people sound peaceful," Alex remarked thoughtfully. Lyra paused, clearly struggling with something. "We were peaceful," she finally said quietly, her eyes distant. "But fear changes many things. When my people heard stories of your kind, they grew wary, cautious. That is why I was sent here, to understand humans better." Alex felt sadness in her voice and gently reassured her. "I'm glad you came. Not all humans want conflict. Many of us dream of peace." Lyra smiled gently, clearly moved by his words. "I am beginning to believe that, Alex," she admitted softly. By evening, most of the repairs were complete. They were exhausted but pleased with their progress. Alex sat back, wiping his forehead. Lyra sat beside him quietly, her expression thoughtful as she looked toward the sky. "You miss home?" Alex asked gently, noticing her distant gaze. Lyra nodded slowly, sadness briefly clouding her eyes. "Yes," she said softly, "but I am learning much here. About humans. About you. It changes many things for me." Her quiet admission made Alex feel strangely happy. "It's changing things for me, too," he confessed softly. Suddenly, they heard a noise, a rover approaching quickly. Alex jumped up, heart racing. He saw several colony leaders arriving, expression stern. Fear gripped him, but he stepped protectively in front of Lyra. "Alex, what is happening here?" demanded one leader, Samuel, looking sharply at the alien ship and Lyra. "She's not a threat," Alex replied firmly, trying to stay calm. "Her ship crashed. She only wants peace." Samuel looked doubtful, glancing suspiciously at Lyra. "We cannot trust aliens," he said harshly. "They bring danger." "She hasn't harmed anyone," Alex insisted, desperation creeping into his voice. "We've spent time talking. Lyra's people want peace as much as we do." Lyra stepped forward slowly, her eyes gentle but strong. "Please," she said softly, facing Samuel directly. "I came to learn about your people, hoping for understanding." Alex showed me kindness. He showed me that humans can be different from our fears. Samuel paused, clearly conflicted. He glanced at Alex, then back at Lyra. After a tense silence, he nodded slowly, though cautiously. "You must come back to the settlement," Samuel finally said, his voice firm. "Both of you. We need to discuss this with everyone." Lyra looked nervous, but trusting Alex, she agreed quietly. Together, they climbed into the rover, heading back to the settlement under careful watch. Alex felt anxious but hopeful, sensing this was a chance to prove that peace was possible. At the colony, people gathered quickly, curious and wary. Samuel explained the situation, and many faces showed fear or suspicion. Alex stepped forward bravely, speaking clearly about his experience with Lyra. He shared her story, describing her kindness and sincerity. "Lyra came here expecting danger," Alex said firmly, "but she found kindness instead. We have an opportunity to build trust, to show her that humans can be peaceful." Lyra stood beside Alex, her eyes full of gratitude and respect. "Alex showed me the best of humanity," she said softly. "He changed my understanding. My people fear you because we do not know you. Now I see hope for peace." The crowd was silent, many people thinking carefully about their words. Slowly, murmurs of agreement spread among them. Many still looked uncertain, but the seed of hope had been planted. Samuel, still stern but clearly moved, nodded thoughtfully. "We must think about this carefully," he said finally. "We will decide together what to do." Alex felt relief flood through him, knowing the hardest part might be over. Lyra looked at him gratefully, a gentle smile on her lips. "Thank you, Alex," she whispered softly. Alex smiled warmly, nodding quietly. "Together, we can show everyone that peace is possible," he said gently. Lyra looked around, her cautious expression softening into one of quiet hope. She knew that trust wouldn't be easy, but Alex had already changed her life profoundly. Together, they stood side by side, united by a shared dream of understanding and peace. The following morning, the colony awoke to a cloudy sky, which seemed to match the uneasy mood among the people. Alex and Lyra waited quietly inside a small room, anxious about the community's final decision. They had talked long into the night, hoping their sincerity had touched the hearts of the settlers. Finally, Samuel entered the room, his expression serious. "We've discussed everything carefully," he began, looking at them steadily. "We've decided that Lyra can stay for now. She may continue repairing her ship, but under watch." Alex exhaled, relief washing over him. Lyra, although still cautious, nodded respectfully to Samuel. "Thank you," she said softly. "I promise you will not regret this." Samuel nodded once, a faint smile touching his lips. "I hope so. We all do." Over the next few days, Alex and Lyra worked tirelessly on her ship. They were never alone, as people often came to watch from a distance, curious but cautious. Gradually, the colonists saw the alien woman's patience, determination, and kindness, and their fears began to fade slightly. Lyra was careful in her inner interactions, always gentle and respectful. She answered questions honestly and openly, slowly building trust with the community. Alex admired her patience and strength, feeling proud to stand by her side. One afternoon, Alex and Lyra took a break, sitting together near her ship. Lyra watched the settlers moving about their daily tasks, her dark eyes thoughtful. "Your people work hard," she noted softly. "I see dedication and unity. It is admirable." Alex smiled softly. "We rely on each other," he explained. "Life here isn't easy. Cooperation is essential." Lyra nodded thoughtfully. "It is similar on my world," she said quietly. "We value harmony above all else. Unity has always been our strength. Do you miss your people a lot?" Alex asked gently, noticing the sadness in her eyes. "Yes," Lyra admitted softly, looking at him sincerely. "But my mission here is important. Understanding humanity could change everything for my people." Alex nodded slowly, sensing the weight of her responsibility. "I hope your people will understand us," he said earnestly. "We humans have made many mistakes, but we also have great capacity for good." Lyra looked deeply into his eyes, sincerity clear in her expression. "I believe that now," she whispered gently. Days passed quickly, and soon Lyra's ship was nearly ready to fly again. But the closer they got to completion, the more Alex felt a strange heaviness in his heart. He realized he didn't want Lyra to leave. She had become important to him, not just because of her mission, but because she had shown him kindness, wisdom, and understanding. One evening, after a long day of work, Alex and Lyra sat quietly looking up at the stars. The night was peaceful, filled with quiet sounds of distant wildlife and the gentle rustling of leaves. "Soon you will leave," Alex finally spoke softly, sadness evident in his voice. Lyra turned to him slowly, sensing his emotions. "Yes," she replied gently. "But leaving does not mean forgetting. I will carry what I learned here back to my people." Alex nodded, feeling a tightness in his chest. "Will you tell them about me?" "About us?" he asked quietly, unable to meet her eyes. Lyra touched his hand lightly, surprising him. "Of course," she said softly. "I will tell them about the human who showed me compassion and kindness. I will tell them about you, Alex." Alex looked into her eyes, feeling warmth spread through him at her words. They sat in silence for a long while, enjoying the quiet moment together. Suddenly, a distant noise caught their attention, pulling them out of their quiet reflection. Alex stood quickly, worried. A group of settlers approached hurriedly, calling his name urgently. "Alex! Lyra!" One of the colonists, a woman named Maria, shouted anxiously. "We need your help. One of our children, Ben, wandered into the forest. We can't find him." Alex exchanged a worried glance with Lyra, quickly deciding to help. We'll help you find him, Alex assured Maria firmly. They hurried into the dense forest with several settlers, searching carefully. Night had fallen completely, making the search difficult. The settlers spread out, calling Ben's name. Fear gripped Alex as he thought about the dangers hidden in the forest. Lyra moved beside him carefully, her dark eyes scanning the shadows intently. Suddenly, she paused, tilting her head slightly as if listening carefully. "This way," she said quietly, leading Alex forward confidently. Trusting her instincts, Alex followed closely. Soon they found Ben, scared and lost, sitting near a tree. The child looked up, relieved, as they approached. Alex comforted the boy gently while Lyra smiled reassuringly. "You're safe now," Lyra said softly, her gentle voice soothing Ben's fears. The boy stared up at her, amazed by her alien appearance but comforted by her calm manner. They returned to the settlement together, greeted by relieved parents and grateful colonists. Lyra's act of kindness further warmed the settlers' hearts toward her. Alex felt immense pride seeing their acceptance of her grow stronger. Later, after everyone had returned home, Alex and Lyra stood alone once again, quietly reflecting on the night's events. Lyra looked thoughtful, a gentle smile on her lips. "Your people have shown great openness," Lyra said softly. "Their willingness to trust gives me hope." Alex nodded sincerely. "And your courage has shown them what is possible," he said gently. They shared a quiet smile, understanding passing between them without words. Alex realized the depth of his feelings for Lyra, knowing her departure would deeply hurt him. Yet he felt immense gratitude for their shared experiences. "When your people come," Alex began hesitantly, "will you return with them or stay?" Lyra hesitated, clearly conflicted. She looked up at the stars, deep in thought. "I do not know yet," she admitted softly. "Part of me wishes to stay, to continue learning from you and your people. But another part of me feels the duty to return and share what I have learned." Alex reached out gently, touching her hand lightly in comfort. "Whatever you decide," he said sincerely, "know you have friends here. People care about you." Lyra turned to him, her expression warm and tender. "Thank you, Alex," she whispered softly, her eyes shining gently in the moonlight. "Meeting you has changed my life profoundly." They stood quietly, sharing the peaceful night, each aware of the deep bond they had formed. Neither spoke further, each lost in their own thoughts but comforted by each other's presence. As they walked back toward their small shelter, Alex felt hopeful. Whatever the future held, he was grateful for these moments with Lyra. Together, they had shown that understanding, trust, and peace were truly possible between their two very different worlds. As days turned into weeks, life in the colony slowly returned to normal, but with one major change. Lyra was now accepted as part of their community. The settlers often visited her, asking questions and learning from her gentle explanations. Alex felt pride and happiness seeing how the people had grown to trust and care for her. Lyra's ship repairs were now complete, yet she hesitated to leave. She continued to teach the colonists new things, sharing her people's knowledge. In return, she learned about human culture, customs, and emotions. Growing even closer to Alex, that one sunny afternoon, Alex and Lyra walked together through the colony, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere. Children played happily nearby, calling out greetings to Lyra as they passed. She smiled warmly, waving back gently, her eyes full of quiet joy. "Your people have accepted me fully," Lyra said softly, her voice filled with happiness and amazement. "They see the kindness in you," Alex replied sincerely. "They realize you're no different from us in the ways that truly matter." Lyra stopped, suddenly turning to Alex, her eyes thoughtful. "You have taught me many important things," she said softly. "You have shown me the beauty of human emotions, kindness, compassion, and love." Alex's heart skipped a beat at her words. He hesitated, wanting to express his true feelings, but unsure if he should. "You taught me just as much," he admitted finally. "You've shown me patience, wisdom, and understanding beyond anything I've known." Lyra smiled gently, her eyes warm and sincere. I will always cherish these moments, she whispered quietly. That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, Lyra's communicator suddenly beeped urgently. Her eyes widened as she quickly answered it. Alex watched, heart racing as he saw her. Expression changed from surprise to worry. My people, she explained quickly, turning to Alex anxiously. They've arrived. They have tracked my ship here. Alex felt a rush of mixed emotions, happiness for Lyra, but deep worry about how her people might react. Will they be peaceful? He asked quietly, concern clear in his voice. I believe so, Lyra said softly, though uncertainty flickered in her eyes. But we must meet them quickly to ensure they understand our peaceful intentions. Together they quickly informed Samuel and the colony leaders, explaining the situation clearly. Samuel listened gravely, nodding firmly. We will welcome your people, he said decisively, but we must prepare carefully. The settlers gathered in the open area near Lyra's ship, waiting anxiously as night fell. Alex stood beside Lyra, feeling tension in the air. Suddenly, bright lights appeared in the sky, signaling the arrival of Lyra's people. A large ship landed softly nearby, its graceful design similar to Lyra's vessel. Moments later, several figures emerged, stepping cautiously onto the ground. They were similar in appearance to Lyra, with pale blue skin and large, gentle eyes. The settlers watched anxiously, unsure of what to expect. Lyra stepped forward calmly, greeting her people warmly. She spoke to them softly in her language, explaining the situation carefully. Alex watched closely, his heart pounding as he waited for their reaction. Lyra's people seemed cautious at first, their eyes scanning the crowd of settlers warily. Finally, one stepped forward, speaking calmly to Lyra. She nodded, turning toward Alex and Samuel with relief. They will listen, Lyra explained gently. They are willing to speak with you. Samuel stepped forward confidently, welcoming Lyra's people respectfully. He explained their peaceful intentions clearly, offering cooperation and friendship. The alien visitors listened carefully, gradually relaxing as they understood the sincerity of the humans' words. Alex watched proudly, seeing the trust and openness that Lyra had helped build between their worlds. He felt grateful for her courage and strength, knowing how much this moment meant to both of them. After a long, careful discussion, Lyra's people agreed to stay briefly to learn more about humanity firsthand. The settlers warmly welcomed them, sharing food and stories throughout the evening. Alex saw the visitors' wariness melt away as they experienced human kindness directly. Later that night, Alex and Lyra stood quietly together, watching the happy interactions between their peoples. Lyra's eyes shone brightly with happiness, and Alex felt a deep sense of fulfillment seeing her joy. This is more than I ever hoped, Lyra whispered softly, smiling warmly at Alex. Our peoples together, learning and growing in peace. Alex gently took her hand, feeling warmth spread through him at her touch. You made this happen, he said sincerely, admiration clear in his voice. Your courage and kindness have changed everything. Lyra looked deeply into his eyes, gratitude and warmth filling her expression. And your compassion and bravery inspired me, she said softly. Together, we created something truly beautiful. They stood quietly for a long moment, simply enjoying each other's presence. Alex felt a deep, comforting sense of peace, knowing they had accomplished something important. Yet he also knew difficult choices lay ahead for Lyra. Will you stay now? He finally asked gently, unable to hide the hopeful longing in his voice. Lyra hesitated, clearly torn. She looked around, seeing the peaceful interactions and friendships forming between humans and her people. Finally, she spoke softly, her voice filled with quiet determination. I must return briefly, Lyra explained carefully. My people need guidance to fully understand what we have created here. But I promise I will return, Alex. Alex nodded slowly, feeling sadness mixed with understanding. I trust you, he said gently, his voice filled with sincerity. I know you'll come back. Lyra smiled warmly, stepping closer and placing a gentle hand on his shoulder. I could never leave this behind forever, she said softly, her eyes shining warmly. Not after all we have shared. Alex felt deep happiness at her words, knowing they would reunite soon. For now, he felt grateful to have met her, grateful for everything they had experienced together. As the night grew late, Lyra's people prepared to depart. Lyra gently hugged Alex, whispering softly in his ear, I will carry your kindness and love with me always. Alex held her close briefly, feeling a sense of loss mixed with hope. And I will wait for you, he replied sincerely, his voice filled with quiet promise. Lyra joined her people, turning back one final time to wave gently to Alex. Their eyes met in silent understanding and promise. Alex watched as she boarded her ship, feeling both sadness and deep pride. As the ships rose gracefully into the night sky, Alex stood quietly, reflecting on their journey together. He knew this was only the beginning. Lyra would return, and together, they would continue building peace and understanding between their two worlds. Until then, Alex would wait patiently, holding on to the memories of Lyra's kindness, courage, and love, knowing they had truly changed the universe together. Alex spent many days watching the skies, hoping to see Lyra's ship returning. The settlement had changed since her departure, becoming quieter but also more hopeful. Everyone had learned valuable lessons about trust and acceptance, and Alex knew. It was because of Lyra. As the weeks passed, Alex stayed busy, helping the community grow stronger and more unified. But he missed Lyra deeply, often thinking of their time together and hoping she was safe and well. Each evening, he looked to the stars, silently promising he would wait for her. One bright morning, excitement spread quickly through the colony. Ships were approaching, the same graceful ships belonging to Lyra's people. Alex felt his heart race as he hurried to the landing site, hoping with all his heart to see Lyra again. The ships landed gently, and Lyra stepped out first, her eyes immediately finding Alex. She smiled warmly, and Alex felt deep happiness fill him. Quickly, they moved toward each other, the settlers and her people watching with friendly interest. Alex, Lyra greeted softly, her eyes bright with joy. I kept my promise. I never doubted you, Alex replied warmly, feeling relief and joy in his heart. Lyra's people had returned, bringing many others who were curious and hopeful about this new friendship. The colony welcomed them warmly, sharing food, stories, and experiences. Alex felt immense pride and happiness, seeing how much had changed since their first cautious meeting. Over the following days, Lyra and Alex worked together to help their two peoples understand each other better. They arranged gatherings, encouraged conversations, and showed how friendship could grow from openness and trust. One afternoon, Alex and Lyra walked alone by the edge of the settlement, enjoying a quiet moment together. Lyra glanced at Alex, her eyes thoughtful. My people have learned much, she said gently. They now see the true nature of humanity, your kindness, strength, and willingness to learn. You made that possible, Alex said sincerely, admiration clear in his voice. Your courage and compassion led us all to this moment. Lyra smiled gently, her eyes warm and tender. And your faith in me gave me strength, she said softly. Together, we showed everyone what is possible. They walked slowly, enjoying the peaceful afternoon. Alex felt happy and fulfilled, knowing the bond between humans and Lyra's people was growing stronger every day. However, peace was suddenly disrupted by urgent news. Samuel hurried toward them, looking worried. A powerful storm is coming, he explained quickly. We must secure the settlement immediately. Alex and Lyra quickly began helping the settlers and visitors prepare. They reinforced buildings, gathered supplies, and made sure everyone was safe. But as the storm approached, it became clear it was stronger than they had anticipated. Rain began falling heavily, and powerful winds swept through the settlement. People hurried to shelters, holding on to each other tightly. Alex and Lyra moved quickly, ensuring everyone was safe before finally seeking shelter themselves. Just as they reached safety, they heard cries of distress. Looking out, Alex saw that several children had become trapped in a damaged building. Without hesitation, Alex rushed out into the fierce storm, determined to save them. Lyra followed close behind, equally determined to help. Together, they fought through wind and rain, reaching the frightened children quickly. Alex comforted them gently, while Lyra shielded them from the harsh storm. Carefully, they led the children to safety, step by difficult step. Just as they reached safety, a powerful gust of wind struck, knocking Alex off balance. He fell hard, hitting the ground painfully. Lyra rushed to his side immediately, worry filling her eyes. "Alex, are you hurt?" she asked anxiously, her gentle hands quickly checking him. "I'm fine," Alex insisted weakly, though pain was clear in his face. "We need to get the children to safety." Lyra nodded, helping him up carefully. Together they continued, guiding the children into the secure shelter where their parents waited anxiously. Relief and gratitude filled everyone's faces as they entered. Safely, Lyra quickly helped Alex sit down, examining his injuries carefully. "You're badly hurt," she said softly, worry clearing her voice. "I'll be all right," Alex assured gently, though he winced slightly. "Rest now," Lyra insisted tenderly, her eyes full of deep concern. "I'll care for you." Throughout the stormy night, Lyra stayed by Alex's side, tending his wounds gently and comforting him. The storm eventually passed, leaving the settlement damaged but safe. Everyone worked quickly to repair the damage, inspired by the bravery and unity shown during the storm. As Alex recovered, he and Lyra grew even closer. The settlers and her people watched their bond deepen, feeling inspired by their love and dedication to each other and their communities. One peaceful evening, Alex and Lyra sat quietly, watching the sunset. Alex felt immense gratitude for Lyra's presence and kindness. "You risked everything to help us," he said gently. "You saved my life." Lyra smiled warmly, her eyes gentle and sincere. "You have always shown bravery and compassion," she replied. Softly, "It was my honor to help you." Alex reached out gently, taking her hand softly in his own. "I can't imagine my life without you now," he admitted quietly. Lyra's eyes shone with warmth and love. "Nor I without you," she whispered gently. They sat together quietly, enjoying the peaceful moment. Around them, the settlement thrived, humans and Lyra's people working side by side. United by shared experiences and friendship, days turned into weeks, and soon the time came for Lyra's people to return home again, now carrying powerful stories of peace, friendship, and love. This time, however, Lyra knew her place was with Alex and the settlement she had grown to cherish. "I will stay," Lyra told her people softly, determination clear in her voice. "My heart belongs here with Alex and our friends." Her people understood, embracing her decision warmly. "You have found true happiness," they told her gently. "We wish you a life filled with peace and love." As their ships rose gracefully into the sky, Alex and Lyra stood together, watching quietly. Alex felt immense happiness and peace, knowing Lyra had chosen to stay with him. Lyra turned to him, her eyes filled with deep love. "Our journey together is just beginning," she whispered softly, smiling warmly. Alex smiled back, his heart full of hope and joy. "And I promise it will be filled with happiness," he replied sincerely. Together, hand in hand, they walked back toward the settlement, ready to face whatever future lay ahead. Their love and unity had created lasting peace and understanding between their two worlds, proving that true kindness and courage could change everything. Life in the settlement continued to grow stronger and happier with each passing day. Lyra and Alex became central figures, helping to guide the community into a bright and hopeful future. Together, they showed everyone how understanding and trust could bridge even the deepest divides. One clear morning, news arrived that another human colony nearby was struggling and needed urgent help. Their supplies were running low, and they were facing severe difficulties. Immediately, the settlers decided they must offer assistance. Alex and Lyra volunteered to lead the relief mission. They carefully prepared supplies, working together with great care. Soon, a small team was ready, and they set off quickly, determined to reach the other colony as soon as possible. The journey was challenging, filled with rough terrain and difficult conditions. Despite this, Alex and Lyra guided their team with confidence and care. They worked well together, encouraging their companions and sharing their wisdom as they traveled. Lyra often looked up at the stars, thinking deeply. Alex noticed her thoughtful expression and asked gently, "Are you thinking about your people?" Lyra nodded softly, her eyes distant but warm. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "I wonder if they are safe and well. But I know they will be proud of what we are doing here." Alex smiled gently, reassuring her warmly. "They certainly would," he said softly. "You have created something wonderful here." Finally, after several days of travel, they reached the struggling colony. The settlers there welcomed them with relief and gratitude, deeply moved by the support and generosity they received. Alex and Lyra quickly helped organize the distribution of supplies, ensuring everyone had what they needed. While working, Alex noticed a young girl named Mia watching Lyra with wide, curious eyes. Lyra saw Mia as well and gently approached her, kneeling down to speak softly. "Hello," Lyra greeted gently, smiling warmly. Mia hesitated, shy but curious. "You're not human," she said quietly, observing Lyra carefully. "No," Lyra answered softly, her voice gentle and reassuring. "But we can still be friends." Mia smiled, her eyes brightening. "I'd like that," she said shyly. Lyra spent time talking gently with Mia and other settlers, sharing stories and experiences. Gradually, everyone felt more comfortable and hopeful, inspired by the kindness and understanding Lyra brought. That evening, as everyone gathered around a warm fire, Alex watched Lyra thoughtfully. She seemed truly happy, surrounded by people who appreciated and respected her. His heart swelled with pride and love for her. "You inspire everyone you meet," Alex said softly, taking Lyra's hand gently. "Including me." Lyra smiled warmly, squeezing his hand gently in return. "You have taught me so much about humanity," she said softly. "Together, we have shown others the power of compassion and unity." Their peaceful moment was suddenly interrupted by urgent cries from nearby. The settlement's leader hurried to them, worry etched deeply in his face. "Our water supply has failed," he explained quickly. "Without it, we cannot survive long." Alex and Lyra immediately sprang into action, carefully inspecting the colony's water system. They found the source of the problem deep underground, requiring immediate repairs. Without hesitation, they began working tirelessly, determined to save the colony. The repairs were challenging, requiring great skill and patience. Alex and Lyra worked closely, supporting and encouraging each other. As they fixed the system, settlers watched anxiously, hoping desperately for success. Finally, after hours of intense work, water flowed again, clean and pure. Cheers and relief spread quickly through the settlement. Alex and Lyra smiled proudly, knowing their efforts had made a real difference. "You saved us," the settlement's leader said gratefully, his voice filled with sincere appreciation. "We are forever thankful." "We're glad we could help," Alex replied gently, smiling warmly. "It's what friends do." The settlers celebrated their renewed hope and friendship late into the night. Alex and Lyra enjoyed the warmth and joy of the evening, knowing their bond had grown even stronger through the challenges they faced together. As they prepared to leave the following morning, Mia approached Lyra shyly, holding out a small handmade gift. "Thank you for helping us," Mia said softly, her eyes filled with sincere gratitude. Lyra accepted the gift warmly, gently hugging Mia. "Thank you, Mia," she whispered softly. "Remember always that kindness and understanding can change the world." Mia smiled brightly, nodding eagerly. "I will remember," she promised earnestly. As they traveled homeward, Alex and Lyra talked quietly, reflecting on their journey. "We've truly created something special," Alex said softly, pride clear in his voice. Lyra nodded gently, smiling warmly. "Our friendship has built bridges between worlds," she replied tenderly. "It fills my heart with joy." Back at their settlement, everyone welcomed them warmly, celebrating their successful mission. The community had grown even stronger, inspired by the courage, compassion, and unity Alex and Lyra had shown. Days continued peacefully, filled with shared joy and purpose. Alex and Lyra continued guiding their community, helping everyone understand the importance of trust and friendship. One clear night, Alex and Lyra stood quietly under the stars, reflecting on all they had achieved. Alex looked at Lyra thoughtfully, feeling deeply grateful. "You've taught me that anything is possible," he said softly. Lyra smiled warmly, her eyes shining with love. "And you've shown me the true beauty of humanity," she replied gently. "Together, we've shown the universe that peace and understanding are truly possible." They stood close together, enjoying the peaceful night. Alex felt immense happiness, knowing they had faced challenges bravely and created lasting peace and unity. As they walked home, hand in hand, Alex felt certain their journey was just beginning. Together, they will continue building bridges of friendship, inspiring others with their kindness, strength, and unwavering love. With each step forward, Alex felt hope growing stronger in his heart, confident that with Lyra by his side, they could face anything the future held, always united by trust, compassion, and deep understanding.